It's the big clash at the Candidates 2026 between Praggnanandhaa and Fabiano Caruana. Both these players were touted as the favorites of this tournament when it began. However, at the end of 12 rounds, they are both out of the running for the tournament. Fabi lost his previous round to Anish Giri and right now is on 6 points, while Praggnanandhaa is also right now on 5 points. A handshake and both are ready to go. Pawn to d4 by Fabi. And let's see what Prag chooses. Although they are not fighting for the top spot, every point is important at the Candidates from the perspective of just prestige and also prize money. Each win gives you 10,000 euros. Pawn to e6 and now knight to c3 played. Fabi is allowing Prag to go bishop b4 and go into the Nimzo Indian. Knight comes out to f3. Let's see what he has prepared. Actually, Hikaru had played e3 and gone for the Rubinstein variation b6 played by Prag to get his bishop out on this long diagonal. We have bishop to g5. Now this is a sharp line because you are wanting to pin the knight and play e3. So h6, a question is asked immediately. Bishop goes back to h4, keeping the pin intact. And now g5 seems to be a fine move. The bishop has to move. It comes back to g3. And now knight to e4. Pinning the knight, attacking the knight on c3. Fabi moves his queen to c2, putting pressure on the e4 knight and also defending his knight on c3. Bishop b7 played, and generally in such positions h5 h4 becomes a threat. So e3 played by Caruana. I wonder if Prag can already go h5, which is an interesting move. But he goes pawn to d6 and Caruana attacks the knight on e4. Prag decides to take on c3, which is logical. The one thing which you had to notice is that queen a4 check, knight c6, d5 does not work because of take and you attack the rook. So that does not work out. So bishop d3, bishop takes, and Prag goes f5. Now solidifying the knight in the center of the board. And pawn to c5 by Fabi. He's sacrificing a pawn. So if you take pawn takes pawn, maybe he just wants to go rook b1 and put pressure on the bishop. A knight comes to d7. Prag ignores it. And he's like, Fabi, if you want to take on d6, you can. But now what happens is the d6 pawn becomes a little soft there. Although it is defended by the knight for the time being. So you take back with the pawn, controlling the e5 square. And if you take on e4, I can take with the bishop, attacking the queen. There's no time to win the pawn just yet. Fabi castles here. And for Prag, a little bit of a confusion what to do with his king. Should he castle? Should he not castle? Maybe rook c8 makes a lot of sense, but he goes queen to e7. A logical move, defending the pawn on d6. Bishop takes e4, taken here. A very, very provocative move and a very direct move by Caruana. Pawn takes would be a mistake as knight d2 attacks the pawn and already everything is a bit weak. So bishop e4 is the correct move played by Prag, gaining a tempo on the queen. The queen moves to e2, looking in this direction. And now one idea is knight d2 to c4 to just get the knight into the game. Prag goes back bishop b7. Black should be fine in such a position. Fabi goes knight d2 and now an important moment of the game. Maybe rook c8 to keep a tab on knight c4, but h5 is a mistake. Prag makes a mistake because knight c4 is a massive move here. I don't know what Prag is thinking, but what is his plan to knight c4? Fabi finds it. Knight c4. How do you defend? You don't want to be playing e5 because that kind of opens up the position with the king in the center. Ooh, f4. His plan was ef and now h4 to trap the bishop. Insane. However, Fabi has calculated that this is actually good for him. Just fg5 and he is in the driver's seat. Takes it. Wonderful. F takes g5 and now after takes, just take with the f pawn, opening up the rook, and you already have 3 pawns for a piece. d6 is a bit soft. He goes rook c8, a big mistake. He had to play a move like e5 or rook g8. But rook c8 is a big error because now g6 is completely winning for Fabi with the threat of rook f7 and d6 is hanging. He finds it. g6, what a move by Caruana. He's not afraid of bishop a6. Pragg plays it, attacks here, but you must go rook f7. But he blunders with g7. Oh my god. Rook f7 was just winning. I don't know what he missed. Queen f7, knight d6 check. Maybe this is the line which he had missed with this and this hanging. He goes g7, rook g8, he's still better. Queen h5 check, but he's lost a major chunk of his advantage. Pragg now takes on c4, bishop takes. Rook takes e7. And after king takes e7, now you have a rook and 2 minor pieces for a queen. Queen g6 played with the idea of rook f1, but it's not possible. The bishop controls it. h4, h5, h6 could be an idea. Knight comes to f6. And now wonderful move, d5. If you take with the bishop, rook comes to f1. Knight takes is kind of forced, but now I get h4. And Fabi finds it. Fabi making one good move after another, just missing that one moment. But he's now just better. h5, h6 pushes. And Pragg cannot allow the pawn to come to h6. He would be utterly lost. So he must take it. He takes, knight takes h5. Queen takes. And now rook g7. And somehow, miraculously, Pragg is still surviving. But his position is lost. Rook d1. Getting the rook to the open file. Attacking the pawn on d6. Bishop comes to d5. Check to the king. And now if king d7, you can swing the queen over. Queen a4 check, and that's exactly what Fabi does, attacking the pawn on a7. So maybe king d8, defending here is the right way to go. He goes king d8 and now take the open file. Fabi is playing like a machine. He's finding one good move after another. Rook takes c3, taken. And now rook f8 check. Boom. King c7. Queen takes a7. How is the black king even surviving here? With 2 pieces attacking so murderously. Bishop b7. The bishop comes back and now rook b8. Seems like the best move when it's very difficult to defend. Rook b8 attacking the bishop. Of course, it's not a killer blow, but he goes queen b8. He allows the king to start running forward. King c6. And somehow, Praggnanandhaa is escaping. Check. I mean, imagine if this game meant something for the final standings. That would have been insane. a4 with the idea of queen b5 check. No, he takes on e6, and this is the final mistake by Fabi. Now rook takes g3, and somehow everything protects each other, and the g2 pawn is difficult to save. Pragg takes it calmly, and you can see that Fabi's winning position is gone on move 40. He gives a check, but he knows that he can no longer fight for the win here. What an incredible defense by Pragg, and actually an incredible attack by Fabi. He needed to make so many accurate moves. He managed to do that, but just, I think when it mattered the most, he couldn't find a couple of moves, and that has led him to split the point. Now king c7, g2 is attacked 3 times So you must do something about it. I mean, a check here is possible, but then bishop c6. So he goes rook f7 and offers a draw, and Pragg takes it. What a game this was, and what an exciting encounter between Pragg and Fabi. Fabi will definitely not be happy. Pragg saves an important half a point for himself in this tournament, and I think a game where a lot can be learnt by all of us: how to attack, how to defend, and so much more. A game between two champions, and in the end, both of them leave the board with split point.